He's on his perch, seat in his beak, and he completely stops chewing. Just for a split second, his head tilts, but not toward the window, and not toward the door. He's looking right at you. Now you're not doing anything unusual. You're just sitting there, scrolling on your phone, maybe sighing without even realizing it. But he noticed. Honestly, he always notices. And by the time you actually look up, he's already gone back to eating like absolutely nothing happened. See, you assume you're the one watching him. You're the one checking in, making sure he's fed, safe, and comfortable. That's the whole relationship, right? You provide, he receives. Simple, except it isn't simple at all. Because somewhere over the last few months, without either of you realizing it, the direction quietly reversed. He's not just living in your space anymore, he's been studying it. He's been studying you. And all those strange little behaviors you've been writing off as just bird stuff, the sudden stillness, that odd chirp at weird hours, the fluffing, the sudden silence, none of that is random. They're responses. They are direct reactions to something in you that you didn't even know you were showing. Most people assume birds are just simple creatures running on basic instinct, food, and noise. But you have to remember, budgies are prey animals. And prey animals survive by reading everything around them constantly, endlessly, without ever looking like they're doing it. In the wild, that meant scanning the grasslands for the flicker of a predator's shadow. But in your living room, it means something else entirely. It means scanning you. Here's the part people miss. Your heart rate, your breathing pattern, the tension in your shoulders, even the pace of your footsteps, a budgie can pick up on every single bit of it. It's not because he understands stress the way you and I do, but because tension in a nearby creature has always meant one thing in the wild: danger is close. So when you come home wound tight from a bad day, moving a little too fast, breathing shallow, slamming a cabinet just a tiny bit harder than usual, he catches it in seconds. And whatever he does next isn't him being weird. It's just him adjusting his entire behavior around a threat assessment he just silently completed. This is where it gets a little uncomfortable, in a quiet way. Because sometimes what looks like your bird being distant or unusually loud or oddly clingy, it isn't about him at all. It's about you. He's not just living alongside your emotions. It kind of feels like he's absorbing them, tracking them, and responding to them day after day. Maybe you've noticed this too, but you've probably never once considered that a strange chirp at 9 p.m. might be a direct echo of an argument you had at 8. Just think about the fluffing for a second. You've seen it: feathers, puffed out, body all round, almost sleepy looking. Most owners assume it just means comfort, contentment, maybe happiness, and yeah, sometimes it does. But fluffing has another meaning that almost nobody talks about. It's also what a bird does when it's trying to conserve energy while quietly monitoring a situation it hasn't fully figured out yet. He's not sick. He's not scared exactly. He's just watching from a safer, smaller-looking version of himself. So if that fluffing happens right after a loud phone call or during a tense conversation in the next room, this is the part to ask yourself. Is he actually relaxed, or is he bracing? Then there's the silence. But it's the kind of silence that feels completely different from normal quiet. You know the usual sounds of your home, the low hum of him just talking to himself, chirping at absolutely nothing, or mimicking the microwave beep for the 100th time. It's just background noise. You barely even register it anymore, until it stops. And it always stops at the strangest times. Not when you'd actually expect it to, like during a loud storm, but during those quiet moments of tension you didn't even think he could pick up on. See, a silent budgie in a noisy house isn't just random. Honestly, it's usually the sound of an animal actively choosing not to draw attention to itself, because something around him just doesn't feel settled enough to sing into. And here's what most people don't realize. The picture gets so much bigger than that. This isn't just about your bird occasionally reacting to you being in a bad mood. Over time, if it happens enough, budgies start building something closer to a behavioral map of you. They figure out which movements mean play, which tones mean caution, which routines mean safety, and which disruptions mean it's time to stay small and just watch. Weeks and weeks of this turn into a working psychological profile. And it gets refined every single day you're in the room together. You've been so focused on trying to read him, but you completely missed the fact that he's been reading right back, longer, and honestly, probably more accurately. And this is where the real weight of it lands. A lot of owners, without ever meaning to, treat their budgie as a kind of emotional outlet. You talk to him after a really hard day, you vent your frustrations into the room, or you just let out a tired sigh while he's the only one listening. It feels completely harmless, right? Like it's just one-directional. But here's the thing, he's not just sitting there. He's absorbing the emotional temperature of those moments over and over again, and he has no way to opt out. He can't leave the room, and he can't tell you that it's getting to be a bit much. Every stressed evening, every raised voice, every slammed cabinet door, it all becomes a small deposit into his internal model of what your home is like to survive in. That's the quiet trade-off nobody really talks about when they bring a budgie into their life. You gain this companion who watches you closely enough to notice the tiniest shift in your breathing. But in exchange, he carries a version of your emotional weather around with him every single day, whether you're aware of it or not. Which brings us right back to that same moment him sitting on the perch, seed in his beak, head tilted toward you. Only now, it doesn't look like idle curiosity anymore. It looks like exactly what it is, a small, constant act of attention offered to someone who rarely realizes they're being watched that closely or that carefully. He's not performing for you. He's literally monitoring the emotional climate of the only environment he has. So the next time he goes quiet at an odd hour, or fluffs up his feathers a little too fast, or tilts his head your way for no obvious reason, just pause before you assume it's nothing. Ask yourself what you were actually feeling in that exact moment. Because honestly, he probably already knew before you did. What do you think your bird has already picked up on about you, without you ever realizing it?